Hi, my name is Thomas and I'm the new head coach of Fnatic. I'm 28 years old and I've been in esports for over 8 years. So how it all began was me and my brother, we were playing Dota. We were introduced to League of Legends. We kind of got forced to play it because our friends. In the beginning we really did not enjoy playing League, but we fell in love with it afterwards. And we started as players and we were progressing more and more, and there was a time where he was more pursuing the pro player career and I was more focused on my studies. And therefore we kind of like diverted in a way where he went pro and I was focused on studies and I was helping him. And that's basically the beginning of how I became a coach, because I was helping him as a brother, you know, and I was always there for him 24/7. And whenever I had a free time in summer vacation, I went for a month and lived with the team. And from there I decided to create my own project in Czech, and I was focused on upbringing young talent. And I was kind of present in Czech and I had to finish school, which was 6 years. When I finished finally, I got opportunity to join Immortals and I took it, and I was there for 2 years. And I took a break because I was kind of burnout. And from there, after taking break, I was like, I'm really missing the competition. And my agent approached me with, we have some interesting opportunities this off-season, and I ended up in Fnatic.
I mean, he has to be from this side, because if he's from this side, then you look at his desk and you're like, I can't work with that. I don't know what this is.
My time at Immortals, I feel like it was a very good experience. So what I was trying to get out of the job, sort of, I did coach in Czech language for a long time, and I strongly believe that it is very important for a coach to use proper words. So I took it as an opportunity to sort of improve my English, because I have never coached in English before. So that was what I was going for there. It was NA, where I was not known at all. So I was basically sort of testing myself as well, if I can, build myself up from ground zero, sort of. And I gave myself sort of like a goal of achieving LCS in 2 years. And I did achieve LCS in free splits, so 1.5 years. So that made me realize, maybe what I'm doing, I'm actually kind of, I wouldn't go as far as saying, oh, I'm insane or good at it, but maybe I'm doing something right. Because if I wouldn't make it in 2 years, I was actually set on becoming a doctor and just pursuing that sort of a career. But I did made it, so now I want to pursue esports, because I love it. It's my passion, and I think I'm of a big value for the team and the guys that we have here.
How I usually like to schedule the day for myself is like the first 3.
I worked in esports or with people in different environments for a long time. I would say one of my strengths is reading people and understanding how they function and what they need to perform. So I feel like I bring mainly that, sort of I see myself more as a person who's reading the room and sort of making sure that everyone's being heard and everyone feels in a good way. So I've heard, or like, in my interview, they were very, very set on what they think went wrong last split, and they were sort of fishing for those core values, and I feel like we did sing pretty well on that. So yeah, being leader, big culture guy, and then sort of knowing how to work with people. What I usually tell people is, as a head coach, and I feel like a lot of head coaches are not really great at it, you have to realize that it's not one-man job and you can't be the best at everything. you have to sort of, step back and give room to others. And you have to be fine with, at least in the beginning, with someone doing what you do in like a less efficient way, or you think that you would be doing it better. Then it's just about like coaching those people and then teaching them what you know, and then giving them the space to improve and then fill in the shoes. And then you can sort of like focus on what the team needs from you. I think the environment is pretty good. I'd say the players themselves naturally clicked. So it's not like me or any other coach is doing some magic. But I really like working with Hiva. I feel like how players sort of clicked, we clicked as well, and then we have similar values and we're pushing for same things. So it comes really naturally, supporting each other and having that sort of like unified front, which is really insane because then, if you're pushing for a point or points or a way to do things and there's some pushback from the players, it usually, it feels a bit awkward. But if you have someone who's pushing for it as well, then even whenever you hesitate, the person is there to cover that. And then you just have really good feeling about everything you do because, you have someone who has your back and, you can just do your job and you don't need to be affected by, pushbacks or emotions or anything like that. So I can start with Oscar. He's 19 years old, right? So that's pretty insane. He's very mechanically gifted. He has sharp instincts, and I can see potential in him. But he's like a diamond in rough, sort of. So he doesn't have really set things going for him. He doesn't really have way of playing. It's all like very instinctive. So we need to build him up. We need to create an environment for him where he feels valued, and it's very natural for him, to receive feedback and grow. And then we just have to nurture him, in a way that he doesn't shut down with more pressure coming into when we start the season, or pressure from feedback or socials. But he's really nice. He's a bit on the shy end. But again, like I'd say, give him 2 splits, and I think he can be one of the top 4, top 3 top laners even. With Hank, at the end, so I kind of knew a bit about him already from people like Patrick, who really valued him highly. I guess I can say I'm pleasantly surprised by him. The same with Reckless, right? Hank, I saw him a bit more like a rookie, someone not so experienced in a way, of not having such a high standard of understanding the game. And he actually, he's very smart about the game and he understands it really well. And he's very outgoing, which is really nice because whenever you have a player that understands the game well and he's outgoing, outspoken, then he can, sort of fill the room and talk a lot in reviews and give him his perspective about things. And that's what Hank did from day one. You would say when player comes into the different environment, in a new environment with maybe LEC players, maybe the big names as Humanoid, Reckless, he would be on the shy end, right? But no, not Hank, Hank will just overtake the room and then he would be the loudest one there. So that's really insane to see, and I think I value that highly. And it feels like it's very natural for him. I feel like he'll be a big voice with Marek on stage as well. So we will have sort of these two leading us into victories.
You proud of you?
I'm really proud. The first time I saw Marek was when we played against him. He was a Diamond 1 Plat in Czech League. And I sort of, seen him play, and I'm like, oh, this guy's potential. And back at that time, we had some issues with our mid laner, so we decided to change the mid laners. And ever since, I've worked with Marek for maybe 3 splits, maybe 4 splits. It was extended period of time. And what I can say is like Marek is one of the most, I don't want to boost his confidence too much, but saying he's the best, I'll just say he's one of the best people, the most talented people I've worked with. And everything in a world has a balance. So when he's really insane at League, he might be less insane at some other aspects of life. So, I love Marek, and he's just, Marek is just Marek. You can't say anything else. And who knows him, they know what I mean by it. And he's an insane guy. And again, I'm still figuring him out. It's just 5 days, what changed since then, because it's a long time. But honestly, I'm just amazed how professional he is, and how talented he still is, and the passion he has for the game. Honestly, I'm surprised by Reckless. For example, there's a big stigma around him being a bad player. I don't really agree with that sentiment. I would even defend him to some extent now that I know him. He's very professional. He's very easy to work with, which is something that I was not expecting. I would even go as far as to say that he is really insane player. It's just the way he played last year or last 1.5 years. I would say the teams were not really playing for him, and he's fine in both the getting the lead, getting the resources role, but he was more tied to, or used as someone who's not getting any resources, and he's really fine with that, and he will not voice it. So, if someone is not getting resources, of course they'll not look extremely shiny, right? Because someone else is having spotlight. But I can actually sort of unveil that we've been working with Martin on how he should be using resources, and he really enjoys this playstyle. He's still not familiar with it to the extent that he could be, or we could be saying, hey, it's natural for him to play like that, because he didn't really play like that for a long time. But he's improving from day to day, and then I actually see spark, sort of we ignited a spark in him that was long gone, and now he's actually, from day to day, he's already demanding more and more, and you can actually see him destroying enemy bot lanes or ADCs and completely overtaking the game. So it's really nice to see, as a coach, to see that he's able to play that style as well.
Do we have a chance of improving on results from last split?
I genuinely believe so. I think it was given the short preparation for every team last split, right? But I feel like a lot of teams were actually, even the ones that were high up in standings, they were not really performing to great level. So we'll see how, it's now with the teams playing together longer. But I honestly believe that if me and Hiva, we set up the team in a good way, we'll give them a draft that's not losing. I feel like we will surprise a lot of people. I honestly don't see any big limitations. We might have some small ones there and there, but that's to be expected. Every team has some sort of small limitations. So it feels really great to draft for this team, because they're willing to play almost anything, and they're not losing with it. They're actually, playing the matchups in a good way. So again, I'll just say it's pretty. It feels like it's pretty easy to draft for this team. I feel like we'll be on the, I wouldn't say rather slow end, but I would not go to length of saying, oh, we'll be an early game dominant team. We're focused, or will be focused on executing our plans correctly and not skipping any steps. So that will, take some time. And honestly, I feel like what this team will bring to the table is continuous improvement. So, you know, like week 1, we'll play in a certain way, and then week 2, we can expect seeing improved version of that. So I'm excited, you know.